We will spare you a lot of the details between then and when we started working together.
Let's just say Eric dropped me on the dance floor.
Yeah, so the details we don't need to get into.
I don't know. Let's go into some details.
Welcome to another episode of The Den, brought to you by the Knox Real Estate Group. I am Eric Whitener, and I am joined today by my lovely bride and business partner, Teri Fox.
Hello, hello.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about our real estate journey, our life journey. Obviously we're a husband and wife team in the real estate business, and kind of want to give you an idea of what that journey has kind of looked like, how we got to where we are today.
We think it's important for you to know who we are as well as like how we got there. Maybe we inspire you. Maybe you get to know us a little bit more. So so here we go.
So just to give a little background, Terry Jo and I both met at a UT football tailgate.
And let's just keep this in mind as well. It was my very first one. I've been to many since, but we met at my very first tailgate, and it was a homecoming game against MTSU.
Yep, and the funny part of it was I think neither one of us were at that moment actually looking for somebody. At the same time, we were connected because of business. A mutual friend of ours basically connected us at that tailgate because at that time I had my mortgage license, Terry Jo had a real estate license, and they thought that would be a good, obviously a good connection.
And I was like, seriously, another mortgage lender?
Right.
I mean, that's truly what went through my mind. And I didn't realize, obviously, that first 30 minutes that we would chit-chat prior to walking into Gate 21. As you can see, I remember lots of details.
Yeah. So that basically kicked off. We will spare you a lot of the details between then and when we started working together, but
I don't know. Let's go into some details. Okay, so Eric actually then invited me to a couple of networkings, which I had known about, and I knew a lot of people at them, but I had never really explored them. So we went to a few tailgates, and then we hung out the day after Thanksgiving. So that was actually our first kind of like true intimate type of hangout. Played some pool and danced and everything like that. Let's just say Eric dropped me on the dance floor.
yeah. So the details we don't need to get into. So anyways, that basically kind of kicked off our relationship, and we were both in the business, kind of working different angles at that time. I obviously had my real estate license for a few years before that, and like I said, doing mortgages. We did a few deals together while we were dating, and it wasn't until we got married.
We got married. Our anniversary is going to be April 5th. This year is going to be 10 years, so in 2014. And shortly after we got married, my car was broken down. I needed Eric to take me places, and I was having a situation at an inspection, and I asked him to come in and look at something. And that evening, he had already kind of asked me, and I was like, nope, no way, we're done. We're not doing that, because he was on a different journey at that time that we were very supportive in our lives. But it just wasn't what his journey should be. So that evening, I was sitting at the dining room table, and he was doing the dishes. And I said, so what do you think about joining me in real estate? And he turned around and sat down and was like, what does that look like? So we have explored it obviously now, and he joined me in the real estate world 1 month after we got married. And so we really tested this marriage out.
Quickly. So we went straight into 24/7 work-life mode. And yeah, so we're going on 10 years of marriage and working together. It's funny because obviously we've grown a lot since then.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really funny, and I have this conversation often with people because they say how I could not work with my spouse. Like I just
We
couldn't do
hear
it.
that all the time.
I don't know how you guys do it, and I'll be honest with you. First of all, it's not it's not always what it seems. Like we get on each other's nerves.
Oh, we do.
Um,
We have
it
two
happens.
we have two very different personalities and work modes basically. So it is not always, roses and smiles and everything like that, but we do also know that our ultimate goal is the same at the end of the day, as well as throughout the day in our lives. So,
Well, and one of the things I think people forget is the most people are married to an opposite, right?
mhm.
Like your different personalities attracted you to each other. But that same thing kind of goes with work. Like if we both had the same personalities and both did the same thing, well, we would just be doubling up on the things that we're good at versus spreading it out. So in other words, I handle things that Terry Joe doesn't handle.
So go into detail on that so people in our audience know.
Okay, so quickly we realized that there were things that Terry Joe is really really good at, and then there are things that I am much better at. And we decided to divide and conquer. Instead of trying to bring my weaknesses up and spending time on that, we focused on my strengths, and the same goes for her. We focused on her strengths. So kind of like was it the Transformers or whatever, where all the pieces come together to make one big, transformer. That's kind of what we did.
See, I would never explain it that way.
She
So
would,
Eric is more in regards to he likes to be seen as like the wizard behind the Wizard of
the
Oz,
Wizard of Oz.
the man behind the curtain type of thing. So Eric is all about marketing and creativity in that way, as well as systems and processes, and he's very analytical as well. So he's really good for myself in regards to I am so not any of that. Um, I require a lot of talking. I like to build relationships. I like to know about people's families and their kids and their animals. I like to truly build those relationships with our clients as well. I also love to negotiate. I love to think outside the box on negotiating. I like to, sometimes I will say I come to Eric on, potentially on repairs and like, hey, I need to understand a little bit better about this. But negotiating, connecting people, understanding like what somebody needs over here to what somebody needs over here and possibly connecting them. I love to be the hero in a deal. I love it. So those are kind of some of my passions and everything. But my personality and my team, we need somebody like Eric on the back end because we need somebody to put these systems into place to allow for us to follow. Because I'm not going to put one into place.
Well, so what one of the biggest struggles, okay, so for real estate agents, excuse me, one of the biggest struggles for real estate agents is that most most people that are attracted to the business are what you would call on the disc profile, they would be a high D or a high I. Most of them are people, or they're very business oriented in the fact that they just like want the information and want to go. But most of them are very very bad at the organization part. They're not well suited for um, follow up. They're not well suited for all the processes because that's not fun to them. It doesn't fit their, which we can say that's true in this relationship
Mm-hmm.
where and even with the other agents on our team. So one of the things that I do when we hire somebody is we run them through a disc profile so that I can get a better idea of what their personality is like, what they enjoy, what they don't, because you don't want to plug somebody into the wrong spot with expectations that they'll probably never meet. So you know that's where this relationship comes in. The The funny part about it is, in real estate, the husband and wife team was really the first team. Um, back, back when I got into real estate, 2006, there were, some big husband and wife teams in the area I got started in. Um, that's that was just a way for, um, you could call it a small team to get started, but that common goal, like you said, we both at the end of the day know what we're aiming for, and so we work together really well for that. Now, the way the real estate world has changed over the years, it's very hard for a single agent to do all of the stuff that is needed to be successful in today's business. So teams have become very popular, but they're a very different type of team. Normally, there's a team lead, then there's an ops manager, and then there's all these different people and buyers agents, listing agents. We started to kind of morph into that with our team, but at the end of the day, you know, we're still the front runners. We're still I'm the broker. You're what we would call the team lead, and I'm still doing the high SC level stuff, and you guys are doing the high, the high I level stuff. Um, so, anyways, it's fun. I like the business aspect of it. We've basically gone from, you know, when you and I started, for us to do 25, 30 deals in a year was a big deal, which is a big deal for a lot of agents. Um, Now we've grown this to where we have our own office. We have staff. We have agents, and now we're playing in that 80 to 100 plus. Well, I should say 90 to 100 plus deals a year range, and with room to grow. So it's
And the journey didn't just like, oh, we're going to be on our own. We actually were at a larger company. We were there and we were supported by them for 6 years, and we loved that company. We felt very good at that company. It was part of our family. But you know what? At some point, we kind of felt like we had plateaued, and we needed that next step in our journey. And so I will say it was not on my radar to do something like this, but Eric had always dreamed about being an entrepreneur and kind of owning his own company. And so we explored the option. We figured out how that would work for us. He had to convince me because I was like, I don't know about this. And then we were sitting at a restaurant in Market Square in April, and he basically was like, kind of, we were talking and something just hit me. When you know it's right, you're supposed to follow your journey through the paths of prayer or the universe or whichever you believe in. And right there at that table, I said, okay, let's do it. And I did start crying because it was a little overwhelming of everything we would have to do, as well as like honestly having faith in ourselves, each other, and our team, which our team was at that moment to what our team is, obviously now is different, but it was the same, aspects and so forth. And so we decided, and we stayed there at the other office, and again, that company was very good to us. We were very honest with them of what we wanted to do, and I feel like that was really good for us because they didn't just say, "Hey, farewell." They allowed for us to put our ducks in a row, figure out what our timeline was, and in June we opened up our new company, which is the Knox Fox Real Estate Group. And Fox is my maiden name. My husband started marketing that shortly after we got married, so I kind of just stayed with the maiden name. But we opened a small little office. I mean, it was literally a conference room, an entrance area, and 2 offices with the smallest bathroom I've ever seen in my life. And but it was such a blessing. I mean, truly, it was. I mean, it was 850 square feet.
Yeah.
Decorated beautifully.
It was a good first
And
office.
that was in June of 2019.
So the funny part about making that switch, okay, so while it was kind of scary, at the end of the day, I felt pretty confident in the fact because when you're a real estate agent, you're always you're a self-employed individual.
Mm-hmm.
Like you create the business. The brokerage doesn't typically bring you business. And so I think we've proven like it doesn't really matter what firm you're with, as far as the business part goes. The firm there is there to support the agent,
Mm-hmm.
and to foster the deal. And
Which
so
we had some good support
we did,
there.
we did,
We did.
we did. But also, I mean, yeah, we learned a lot there, and we were
Mm-hmm.
able to take that education on, you know, onto our own thing. So that was what really I think kind of happened. What happened in my mind, where there became a divide was it came down to branding.
Mm-hmm.
For years, everybody said, "Hey, you need to create a brand. You need to have your brand." Um, and during that time, before we made the switches, when actually came up with the Knox Fox Real Estate Group, and it was kind of funny that when that came up was we were driving in the car one day, and Teri Joe is like my little GPS, right? So she knows all the back roads. I've lived here since 2007, and I'm still somewhat map reliant. So, but anyways, I was just joking one day because we were, what way are you gonna go? I'm gonna go this way, and take that road. I was like, oh, and it just came out. I'm like, it's like you're like the Knox Fox, and I was like, I kind of like that. So within, I don't know, a few months, I had bought her a vanity plate. So her car says the Knox Fox on it. And then I was like, next thing it was a logo. And I just liked the way it sounded. And so anyway, so we had our kind of our team name, call it at that time. And where the rub came in is when you're with a brokerage, you have to always identify the brokerage when advertising real estate or real estate services. Well, brand confusion happens when you start to have an agent name, an agent logo, and then a brokerage logo, and then there's the agent's number and the brokerage number. And I was just like, man, so we're the one doing the marketing because it's our business. We're independent contractors, but I have to constantly be in. I felt like a brand battle with the brokerage, and for a single agent, that's fine. Like
Mm-hmm.
for a single agent, you want to hold on to your brokerage and whatnot. So that's a good thing. But we had just gotten to a point where whose brand was going to be bigger, and I wanted our brand to be bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it took figuring a few things out, but ultimately at the end of the day, it really wasn't as as hard as it sounded like it would be. I mean,
Well, I mean, just because I think we both had our, I mean, it could be for others,
it could.
but because of how you did things and then how I did things, again, it comes back to our roles. Um, it was actually a very good change for us. We were very blessed, and we have been since. Because that, like I said, that was a smaller office, 850 square feet, and we are now in nearly 2,500 square feet right on Kingston Pike.
Yeah.
And again, that journey was difficult too, with having to get our permits and the contractor and the finishing of the items and the town, and we had a lot of support. I mean, our architect. I mean, it was just multiple things.
Let's just say we understand moving's not fun.
No.
So no,
And starting a company was not, it was very stressful. And then moving was stressful and getting it decorated, but it was definitely worth it. Every day when we walk into this office, I will say I have a smile on my face in some way or another because this office was a dream come true. Like I had been driving by this office for 10 years because I used to live in Lenore City, and this is right on Kingston Pike across the street from Kohl's. Cute little white house looking building. And I remember 10 years ago, easy, driving by and saying, that would be a really good real estate office. really good real estate office. And you know how things come into just kind of fall. Sometimes they fall into your lap. They fall into your plan. And this was not on the market. But when we had our commercial real estate agent come to our office at our other office and meet with us, and I had it in my mind. That's the one I want. This is the one I want. I can figure this out. And he sat down and he had an old listing of this building from like 2016 or something like that. I don't even know. And I'm like, that's the one I want. He says, I know the owner. And I'm like, and that is what I will be getting.
So just shout out to John Haney
Yes.
at NAI. Just to know we believe in representation too. And we believe in having a good qualified expert. Teri, Joe, and I do not do commercial real estate. We specialize in residential real estate. John Haney, on the other hand, he specializes in commercial and was definitely the go-to. He helped us out with our first lease.
Yes, he did. And he's helped quite a few of our clients.
Yeah.
And
so he had this relationship with the owner of this one, which worked out perfect. Like he actually brought it with him, even though it wasn't on the market, because he thought it might be a good fit for us, and it turned out it was. Now the journey to get into the building was definitely a lot longer.
It took us about 7 months, 8 months to get everything from the time we were introduced to it. It might have been longer than that, but it was definitely a long journey, and we could not have done it, obviously, without John and then some other support. The town of Farragut was very good for us. They still required us to do certain things that maybe I was like, I'm not really a fan of that, but you know what? Overall, at the end, they treated us the same as everyone else, and they communicated with us. They told us why, and one of those things is the ramp out front. I thought it was ridiculous, and it was right before I thought we were going to get our CO, and I will say the very first person to come into the office was my mom, who is somewhat handicapped, and at that time even more so. And because of the requirements the town required for us to do, she was able to come into our office and see it firsthand. So
yeah.
Sorry, I got a little teary-eyed.
It's all good. It's all good. No, it was a special moment. No, I think a lot of the frustration with the process was really around not knowing what you don't know. We found out
lack of communication.
Yeah, we found out a few things kind of in the wrong order, and had we known those things up front and could have done it, it just would have made it easier. But that's why, again, it's very important to have the right people around you, because I think at that time we had a couple of people that weren't familiar with the process, and that made it a little bit harder. But nonetheless, we're in here. We've been in here now, man. Are we 2 years in here? Time flies. We've just been in here a while.
A year and a half. We haven't had a year, 2 years. I think this June will be 2 years, because we did we moved in June, because it was right from the other one to this one, and then we had our ribbon cutting in October, because there was just so much still to do, plus obviously selling houses and working, and so this June will be 2 years.
So, and it feels like home. It sure does. And so we're in the process. Right now we're in the process of adding a couple more team members, and really, I think we're at the stage now where it's really refining who and what we are, and how we do things. Putting all the years of experience together. One of the things that always changes, that I'm trying to, that one of my goals to stay on top of is obviously the technology part, and it's always changing. So
I'm going to ask you a question. Okay, so
I may answer it.
You may answer it. So one bit of advice for somebody who is thinking about working with their spouse. It doesn't have to be in real estate either.
No. I would, so my piece of advice would be to sit down and maybe with your spouse and start to list out business, work things, work items, tasks that each one enjoys and which each one doesn't. Um, you know, if, if both if both if both people don't like paperwork, then guess what you're going to need? You're going to need someone who does. Okay, um, you're going to have realistic expectations for what the other person is going to do. And if you can start off with finding out what they enjoy versus trying to get them to do something that you don't want to do and they don't want to do, um, that's just not going to work. So I would definitely um, do that first.
So yours is to sit down and basically list out what you truly potentially enjoy
Mm-hmm.
for to have like true expectations.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the second one? I heard you about to say that one.
The second one I think would be to make sure you're both on the same page as far as a goal, like the why. Why are we going to do this? What is our expectation out of it?
And we have, that's not always the same. Like on year to year basis, that could potentially change. But the why is so difficult for me to, like, because I know why I want to do it. I mean, I love helping people. I love having, working with my husband is actually a blessing for me because I do get to spend time with him. But whys do change, and sometimes you have to go figure it out truly by getting deeper into yourself and understanding yourself in order to be able to understand why you do it. Okay, so your why.
Yeah, I mean, so just to give an example, like if you don't have that conversation and then you start working together and all of a sudden your husband's like at the golf course, 3 times a week, and you're like, what's the deal? Why aren't you at the office helping me? And they're like, well, part of the reason why I went into business was so I could go play more golf. Well, that would have been good to know, you know.
You can make some really good relationships on the golf
You
course.
can. So I think it's very helpful to do that. Then the last part is going to be, I mean, you have to have patience and grace.
Which is so hard for so many. I mean, I had a situation occur last week that he said, you have to have grace with yourself. And I was just so disappointed in myself. It did not have anything to do with real estate, but I was just so disappointed in myself. And he's like, you have to allow for yourself to have grace. And I mean, I knew over time I would figure that out, but it was definitely,
Yeah.
I was just disappointed in myself.
Well, something we sometimes forget is that we're all human. We all have bad days. We all go through moments, and and sometimes, man, we're so quick to want to, quick with the tongue, and can make something small.
Our most deadly weapon.
Yeah, right. We could take something small and turn it into something that basically burns the business down, burns the relationship down, and it shouldn't happen that way. So sometimes you got to step back, and have patience, have grace, come back, and try to again remember you're a team. And so one of the biggest things for me, and this is something that we I bring it up often, but something we learned when we were in Sunday school was we took a class called iMarriage, and the
Compliments of Cokesbury. So they're the first place church we were when we first met. We're going to come back to what you were just saying. So Cokesbury was such a powerful place for us in beginning of our relationship. I think they're a fantastic church, but the one was the tongue was the deadly weapon that we heard there. And then our first time there, it was everybody is broken. So like you can't point the fingers necessarily. Like everybody has a situation going on.
And when you say everybody's broken, you include yourself in
exactly.
that. Like I have faults, and my faults aren't necessarily any lesser than yours.
Yes. So going back to the iMarriage thing,
So
sorry.
I'm marriage.
Mhm.
And how this pertains to business, working with your spouse. So for starters, it was, or just to break it down real simple, it was a lot of people get in a relationship and they think about how that relationship's going to benefit them and all the things they're going to get out. It becomes an
Mhm.
I marriage when it really needs to be a we marriage. And what that looks like is being very supportive of your spouse's goals, right? Bringing to them what brings them joy. And if both parties are doing that on a regular basis, then you almost can't
It
fail.
becomes a win-win.
It's a win-win,
Yeah.
So
I
that
think that's a way of looking in real estate as well, is that so many people are, I mean, and this comes down to agents. I mean, agents are always like, how is it going to benefit me? When am I going to get my check? This and that. Well, we do not run that way in any which way. I am always trying to figure out, how can I help that person? How can I be of value to that person? Even if they're not necessarily always going to utilize me, maybe they have a family member that they are truly connected with, and that is who they feel obligated to use when purchasing or selling real estate. It's not always the best situation, but maybe they feel like they need to. But I want to add value, and that is one of our things that I teach when we're teaching our agents, is how do we add value to their lives? How can we benefit them prior to them even working with us? So going back to you, sorry.
no, it's okay. So yeah, I think if both parties, again, you're a team and you're wanting to support each other,
Mm-hmm.
you have to think about why you got into business together in the first place. What you were hoping to get out of it. I mean, at the end of the day, we all have to make an income, right? We have to have an income great enough to live on, and then hopefully some more.
Mm-hmm.
And but then there's other parts to it. I just watched a video just a few minutes ago, and it was from a team leader, a husband and wife team down in Orlando, and they were talking about work-life balance for people who are spouses in real estate. And they said, we when you look at the word balance, it's about basically equal weight distribution to try to keep an item upright or something to that effect. He says, I it's really hard to basically have that, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
we work kind of all the time. There's
We
always,
do.
sometimes we're talking about business first thing in the morning. Sometimes we're talking about it late at night. There's always kind of something going on. But
Not first thing in the morning. It's really not allowed.
it's a bad time.
Yeah, just an
So
FYI.
so but she swapped the word balance with integration, work life integration,
Hmm,
and
interesting.
I forget exactly the definition she used for integration, but the bottom line is you're integrating work into your life, and so you know I'm fortunate because I get to spend a lot of time with my wife,
But we
and
aren't always spending like quality good time with each other. Like, I mean, when we're at work, we're truly at work.
we're truly work. Yeah, but so for instance, like if let's say you had to show a house on Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
I can opt to ride along, go show the house with you,
And
and
that's what we do on weekends when I'm showing houses, or if we need to go out and about. Eric will actually drive so I can actually be on the phone or work or something like that.
so yeah. Anyways,
But we did not go to my things. Like, I want to tell about
oh
what I
oh
feel. See how he didn't do that? We didn't
I
communicate.
I communication. It's the hardest thing we do.
So, and I was glad that he mentioned more than one item, because I had more than one item that I wanted to actually mention.
Okay.
So, the first item is going to be the communication. So, definitely make sure you communicate. And you mentioned a little bit of it, but you didn't like truly say that when you were explaining yours. But communication is so important in a relationship, and that's going to be in any relationship, whether it's us working together, our team, with our clients. We actually, when I'm talking to somebody, I tell them, like, hey, communication is going to be the number one thing we do. So I need to make sure that you're on board with communicating, or this relationship could die. So
Yeah.
that's the first thing. The second thing is listen. you got to listen to your spouse.
Listen, Linda.
Listen, Linda. No, it's listen, Teri. Listen. So listening to your clients, listening to your spouse, listening to your team when they say something, because what they're saying is important to them. So whether you believe it's important or not, you got to listen and maybe understand kind of where they're coming at with it, and that's where communication comes in. And then my third is going to be surround yourself with good people. Surround yourself with a good team, people that can build you up as well as you can build up, but also our vendors and our friends, because we could not do this without our people. Our people, from our mortgage to our insurance to our handyman to our contractors. I mean, to anybody.
Our team is way bigger than just the agents in this office.
Well, I mean, our team is more than just the 6 that are at Knox Fox. I mean, truly, or soon to be 7 or 8. Or Buddy. We have to include Buddy. But, truly surround yourself with people that you can trust. If you're starting in the business or starting to work with your spouse, get people you can trust around you, because that's very, very important.
It's all about who, not how.
That's the book that Eric recently read. So he's more of the reader too.
So, so you have anything else you'd like to add?
I love you.
I love you too. I think we covered it pretty well.
I will say this for my ending part is that we are blessed to be able to work together, and it is not for everyone. And people say it all the time. We are blessed to be able to be with each other on a regular basis, but we don't take away from the fact that when we get home, sometimes you just got to shut it off and be together and understand that it's just you two at that moment. Every time we see each other, we kiss each other, or we say goodbye. We kiss each other, because truly, at the ultimate, at the end game, it is Eric and I as a husband and wife who have built something for others to be able to enjoy as well.
Yes. Well
now you're up, Eric Whitener.
Well, yeah. So I kind of wanted to just do a couple of I don't know, public service announcements, some sort of like FYIs. Before we ended this. So one second here. All right. So one thing that a lot of people don't know. One thing a lot of people don't know about that can really be a nuisance. Okay, in the process of getting, buying a home, is there's this thing, and I don't know how this is legal, because privacy is such a big deal nowadays. But what you don't know is when you get pre-approved for a loan and the lender pulls your credit, the credit bureaus have the ability to then put your name, they basically sell your information to other lenders. Those are called trigger leads. This person got pre-approved, got their credit pulled by a lender, that triggered all these other people to get your information. This actually happened to some clients of ours, and they got bombarded for next 48 hours. They think they had 50 phone calls.
Oh, no. It was more than that. That 50 was just in the first couple of hours.
So,
I think they got text and email, or text and phone calls. I think it was 200 in 2 days.
It was crazy.
That's absurd.
So this is my tip for you today is before you, and I would do this well before. Don't do this the day before you apply for a loan, but at least a couple weeks, maybe a month before you even consider it, because this is free. Go to optoutprescreen.com. That's optoutprescreen.com, and put your name on that list, and they will take you off of this for 5 years. So for 5 years, you can apply for credit and not get what they call offers. Again, I don't see how it's legal, because these people are getting your name, phone number, and they know you've applied for a mortgage. All right, so the other thing, the next thing I want to talk about, this is something I see a lot of people do that causes them a lot of frustration, and the fix is pretty easy. When searching for a home. Most people start off their real estate buying journey by looking online, right? They want to see what's out there on the market. What they don't realize is all real estate websites are what we call lead generation websites. All of them, even Zillow, Realtor.com, and Redfin. They may not ask you for your information up front, but they are prompting you to give your information. Our website prompts you right off the bat to give your information. So what happens is people get on these websites and they get on different websites. And then they start registering on these different websites. And what happens is they're giving their name, phone number, and email to a bunch of different agents. I mean, some websites will sell your info to 3 agents at one time. So you might get from one registration 3 phone calls.
And others will sell it from 5 to 10 times.
Yeah.
So your information is going to be scattered all over the place.
Yeah, there's companies that resell the leads.
Yes.
Maybe the leads never got picked up. So
I've had a client actually like accidentally, and that's where we tell people like if you're going to be searching, don't necessarily search on all of these, because if you ask an agent, there's usually a link that says ask agent a question or something. Right then is when your stuff is being basically sold. And she accidentally did that, and then she kept telling me like, how do I get off? Like they keep calling me, and I'm like, this is why we don't search on those other websites.
So the reason why I think most people do it is they feel that every website's going to have different homes. And the fact of the matter is today, MLS searching online has become mainstream. Realtor.com, Zillow, all of the websites, our website, all gets their data straight from the MLS. So they're all going to have the homes. So you're not going to find a home on one website that you can't find on another. The way to fix it, though, is to actually have a real estate agent first, right? You're thinking about buying a house. Why don't you talk to the real estate agent that you trust and ask, hey, I'm looking at doing this. What website do you recommend? Most agents are going to have a website, like we have a website, and we can automatically put you on that. That's easy. But even if you're going to get on, say, like maybe you like Realtor.com, and have that conversation, because if you found a house you want more information on, you need to share that with your agent, not ask for info through the website. Mm-hmm. And that's how you avoid sending your information all over the web.
And you can probably find our link to our website below.
I'm gonna guarantee you that somewhere on here is the knoxfox.com. And did I mention that our website has all of the listings on the MLS and updates every 15 minutes? So again,
compliments of Eric Whitener, because he is the person who puts systems into place.
Just going to let you know that you're not going to find homes on another website that you can't find on ours.
Yes.
So yes, that's my 2 tips for today.
Okay.
This is Eric and Teri Joe signing off.
Have a good day.